Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days. For today's second video, day 10, will take us to the 17th of August, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, because they run to around a couple of weeks. We will not be having a look at CFSB2 at the end of the video, because we'll have a look at that in the live stream, which will be a little bit of a CFS special, and that will be coming up for you tonight at 8 PM. So we'll look at the 4 weeklies from the CFS, and then we'll extend out over the next several months with that as well. Should be an interesting live coming up at 8 PM. Right then, please like, share, subscribe on video. Thank you so much for doing that. This is the final 10 to 14 day for a couple of weeks. I'm going to have a couple of weeks off, as I said yesterday, so I'll be dropping off the scene next week, and the week after I'll be back on Monday the 22nd of August. So 2 weeks tomorrow, 2 weeks on Monday. There might be a couple of little surprises appearing though in the intervening couple of weeks, so I might not be completely off. Just watch your space. Right, okay, so let's crack on with the video though. Anyway, hope you're having a lovely Sunday. So we're going to start off with the Central England temperature. The CT is currently sitting at 17.9 now, gone into 18 degrees. That's 2 degrees above average, and that is provisional to yesterday, to the 6th of July. That's going to start taking off over the next few days. It's going to get hotter over the next few days, and so that will be going into the 18s in the next few days, of course, and we shall see how high that gets. Of course, I won't see how high that gets, or I won't be doing it in a video anyway, but I'll probably be keeping a little close eye on it, you know, to have a little sneaky peeky at it at some point in the next few days, I would have thought. I saw this on Twitter. This is from my good friend Schreier, comparing daily maximum temperature anomalies from 1976 to summer 1976 to summer 2022. Of course, there's been a lot of discussion about the two summers, summer 76 and summer 2022. So quite interesting actually. You can see that of the two summers, 76 is the hottest in terms of being sustained, with sustained hot weather going on for many days. Particularly two notable heat waves that occur in summer of 1976, and this remarkable heat wave that gets going around the 23rd or so of June and goes on to around the middle of July. So it's like a 2 or 3 week heat wave where day after day after day after day temperatures in the 30s Celsius. The summer did back off a little bit though through the second half of July, like the last week or 10 days or so of July into the opening days as well. So actually we get some cooler than average days, temperature anomalies coming in that period, although there's a little short burst of slightly hotter weather there. But generally the summer backs off then slightly for a couple of weeks, late July into early August, and then it really starts picking up again with a second extended and you know, very prolonged heat wave beginning at the end of the first week of August and going on pretty much to month's end, where the summer finally breaks over the bank holiday weekend in the last day or two of the month. The summer finally breaks and thunderstorms break out, and the temperature starts to quick cool down, leading going into a very wet autumn, of course. How does that compare with 2022? You can see that the heat hasn't been as sustained through 2022. Much more temperature spikes in this summer. So a temperature spike there, and then a dip, and then a temperature spike there, and then a dip, and then a temperature spike there, and then a slight dip, and then, of course, that's where we get to 40 degrees, and the temperature anomaly is around 12 degrees above average. Massive temperature spike, and it's worth saying that no point in the summer of 1976 did we get to 40 degrees. We didn't even get to 37 or 38 degrees in the summer of 76. I think the maximum was 35, 36 degrees in that summer. So 37, 38, 39, 40. But we get in these spiky summers where we have these temperature spikes that aren't sustained more than a day or two, but they're very extreme. We did not get that in 76. The heat was much more of a sustained nature, but not as extreme, if you see what I mean, in 1976. Of course, not as many cooler days either this summer as in 76 either. So we are having the odd day here and there that's a little bit below average, but not to the extent that we had in that period there in 76. So it's interesting to compare the two summers. I think overall 76 is still the daddy of hot summers for me because of the sustained nature of that very, very extreme heat wave through those 3 weeks from like the 21st or so, 22nd, 23rd of June to the middle of July. That was an extraordinarily hot run of temperatures that were just staying day by day by day. And of course, the drought as well was very, very extreme in 76 with standpipes and whatnot, partly because of the infrastructure. So the infrastructure now, in terms of water pipes and whatnot, much better than 76. The way we retain water in our reservoirs and that, lot better now than in 76. But also 76 was at the end of two exceptionally dry years. The drought actually began in the winter of 1974-75 and got worse and worse, through 1975. A very dry winter. 75, 76 exacerbated things, and so the summer of 76 was like the culmination of a 2-year drought, whereas of course we aren't in a similar situation this year. If we was having a dry winter, this coming winter, and then we had another very hot and dry summer next summer for 2023, then we will find ourselves in a comparable situation to 76, in terms of the drought. But at the moment, it's still early-ish on in this, so we got to wait and see where the drought goes after that and that. But yeah, very interesting. Thank you so much to Shryan for compiling that. I was fascinated by that chart, comparing the two summers. Thank you so much, my good friend Shryan Brewer. You find a link to Ryan's Twitter in the description with the video. Right, we're going to have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks in Northampton today. So the red line is above 30-year upper air temperature average for Northampton. We're close to average at the moment with those upper air temperatures. We're going to be trending up, though, over the next week. Dates on the bottom of the chart, of course, up to the middle part of August, becoming hot. It can get very, very warm. Not really hot as we get into the end of this coming week and next weekend in particular. So I think the peak of this is going to be around Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday. 3 days where I think we're looking at temperature probably at least into mid 30 Celsius, maybe upper 30 Celsius, probably 37, something like that is possible. In those 3 days from Friday through to Sunday. There is a cool down that's taking place within the GFS ensembles into the third week of the month. See that the upper air temperatures return back closer to average, although the midnight operation rate is very interesting because it goes very hot, then it very, very quickly cools down and goes really quite cool and maybe a bit autumnal for a few days, and then it takes off again, it becomes really hot again right at the very end. You'll get to see how all that works out in a moment when I show you the chart. But I think overall there is definitely signs of cool down in the third week of August. Of course, it is extended range mode, so it's unreliable. Got to wait and see whether it does cool down or whether, it's just a brief drop and then the temperature lifts back up again. Precipitation-wise, we're going to be loads and loads of dry weather over the next week or so, but it does look a little bit more unsettled on this ensemble graph today from the middle of August onwards. So maybe we're going to change the pattern in the second half of August and turn cooler and wetter. We had that sort of playing out within the model output a couple of days ago, if you remember. Did look as though We're going to change the pattern second half of August a couple of days ago. And then Bermuda sort of backed off that. So I think that was Thursday, and then on Friday and Saturday, Bermuda sort of backed off that and were very keen to just keep the hot and dry weather extended. But today they might be shifting back a little bit towards turning things more unsettled from the middle of August onwards and cooler too. So interesting times. It's going to be fun to see what's happening by the time I get back. From my break, you know, whether we're still in the drought and the hot spell or whether things have changed. Temperature anomalies from the 7th to the 15th of August going to be very, very significantly above that. It's going to be a hot week to come. Not just the UK, most parts of Europe are included in that as well, of course. Precipitation anomalies from the 7th to 15th of August going to be very substantially drier than normal too. The latest wind map from Earth, nullschool.net, shows that high pressure is building in across the UK and Ireland from off the Atlantic. This high pressure will be delivering a heat wave later on in the week. So there we go. That's the UK Met Euro run for midnight on Wednesday. High pressure is through the country, looking dry and very warm or hot. And that hot, dry weather carries on through to the end of the week and the weekend. High pressure centre shifts towards the east, and that pulls the wind into more of an easterly. So that would tend to push the hot air further westwards, if anything, I think, as the week goes on into next weekend. You'll probably find the hottest of the temperatures migrating a little bit further west, and eventually we start to bring up what looks like a bit of a fungy low from France. This is next Sunday, this time next week. Looks like a fungy low beginning to move up from France, possibly threatening a bit of a fungy breakdown. Wouldn't that be exciting? Icon, looks like that getting high pressure is dominating the weather on Wednesday. Brings loads of dry weather with it. Winds turning to the east. We pull a hot air in from the east as we go into the second half of the week. Then perhaps into a bit of a breakdown by next weekend. Does it a little bit different to the UK Met. Probably lower pressure coming in from the Atlantic with this one. But the upshot is the same. It does also by next weekend. We're beginning to break down the extreme heat and dry weather, possibly seeing some showers breaking out. Now that GFS midnight run, let's have a look at that then. So for Wednesday, high pressure is dominating weather building through the country and into northern parts of Europe as well. That high pressure will be in control throughout the second half week. The winds will be coming in from a hot easterly direction. It will tend to push the hottest of the air further towards the west. By next weekend, we're trying to bring a bit of fungy low from the south, but to be honest, that looks rather flimsy, and you know, next weekend looks mainly dry and hot, I think, with the GFS midnight run. However, by the time we go through to the beginning of the following week, this is Monday 15th of August, pressure is weakening, and this trough of low pressure drops in from the north. Not much of a fungy breakdown with that, I don't think, but probably an active cold front bringing a band of heavy rain, and then a blast of autumnal type air with winds turning into the north there. So we go autumnal after all of that hot weather. We go autumnal around day 10, which is Wednesday 17th of August. And then that gets out of the way, that low, and we start to bring hot air back up from the south again, albeit only quite briefly. This time, let's go to 360 hours. So if we have a look at the upper air temperatures there at 360 hours, I think they'll look quite hot. Yeah, you know, very brief hot spell again as I return. That's 22nd of August, very briefly hot. And then cooler air pushes through. Let's have a look at that, shall we? Cooler air then pushes back through again by the 23rd of August. Very fun GFS midnight run. How does that compare to the 6th then? Let's have a look then. And high pressure is dominating weather on Wednesday. That brings lots of dry, very warm and hot conditions with it as well. That high pressure maintains itself through the weekend. So next weekend looks mostly dry and hot. The breakdown is beyond that around Monday 15th. Looks like it's a bit more thundery with the breakdown as this low comes up from the south. That's suggesting thunderstorms probably breaking out around the 15th, 16th of August. That will give some nice replenishing rains. And then beyond that, that trough of low pressure sticks around the country really into the extended range, a rather more unsettled look there for the third week of August with the GFS 6Z run, and significantly cooler as well, it must be said. If you're enjoying the video, then please can you like, share, subscribe. This will be the final 10 to 14 day video update for a couple of weeks, so I hope you're enjoying it, everyone. GEM, looks like that high pressure once more is in control of the weather on Wednesday. That high pressure still dominating, remember, bringing lots of dry and hot weather for the end of week. And then into next weekend, the GEM wants to bring up a bit of a thundery trough from the south. Could be something of a spongy breakdown going on there, before again, similar to the GFS midnight run, we go into a cooler, more unsettled scenario by day 10 with low pressure over to the northeast of the country and bringing wind in that cooler northwesterly direction. And then finally the ECMWF looking like this. High pressure is in the ascendancy through northern and western parts of Europe through the middle part of the week, and that carries on into the weekend as well. Thundery lows trying to come up from the south on Sunday, and eventually the high pressure does break. It takes a couple of days longer, I think, to do it compared to most of the other model out, but eventually we do go into rather cooler and more showery scenario, probably courtesy of the Thundery breakdown with the ECM. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from tometeo.com. You see loads and loads and loads of dry weather over the next week, certainly. By next weekend, just a suggestion, there's a little bit of wobbling going on. Initially, the showers are breaking out in the northern half of the country, still very dry, even at the 16th. Down in the south, and eventually, look at this, by the end of the 16th into the 17th, look at that, it's been a long time since we've seen that. Storms break out across central and eastern regions, giving finally some replenishing rains around the 16th to the 17th of August, some big thunderstorms breaking out there with the ECM run around days 8, 9 and 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 17th of August. 34 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and the operational run, have a trough of low pressure over the UK and western parts of Europe, so they're looking cooler and more unsettled, big change if that comes off. However, and that's the majority option, so it is the most likely scenario for day 10. However, we can't rule out the 17 here. I've got 17 members of the ECM ensembles back. Just keep that high pressure going over the top of the country, bringing lots of dry and very warm or even quite hot weather with it. So there are 17 members of the ECM ensemble, a significant minority. It's a minority, but it's a significant number, significant amount of them that are keeping the hot weather going up to day 10 with high pressure just maintained. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got, which gets us to the 22nd of August when I return, my return day. So 16 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to the north and high pressure over and to the south. That brings the most showery weather into the northern half of the country. 13 have high pressure just to our east. Low pressure is out west, winds are coming up from a potentially quite hot southerly direction with that. 12 looking properly unsettled, dare I say, even perhaps a tad autumnal, with low pressure over the top of the country, big trough. And then 10 with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, winds still coming in from that westerly direction. So it all looks a little bit inconclusive, doesn't it? It all looks rather inconclusive, I have to say, about how much of a breakdown we're going to get. We'll get a Thundery breakdown, and if we do get a Thundery breakdown, will that then lead to a more unsettled and cooler spell of weather, or will we very quickly go back to dry and hot conditions? Let me know in the comments what you think can happen in the second half of August, everyone, and it'll be interesting to see when I come back just exactly what is happening with the weather. Will we have broken the hot and dry spell, or will we actually still be in it? It'll be interesting to see, won't it? And that's it then, everyone. So if you enjoyed the video, please do you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, dear Matt. Don't forget to tell your friends and family to subscribe as well, and why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And we thank you all so very much for doing that. Right, so that's the last 10-14 day for a couple of weeks. So I've got one more thing to do today, and that's a live stream. That'll be at 8 PM. So I shall see you live then, and we're going to have a look at we'll have a look at 12Z with that, of course, see how 12Z looking. We'll still be seeing hints of Thundery breakdown, possibly. And we will also bring some long range as well, as it's so live stream, got to do some long range. So we'll have a look at some long range as well. We'll just generally hang out for about an hour and have a nice evening, hopefully. So that's coming at 8 PM. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon, Mo. And for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.